Hello everyone, my name is Lanre, your trusted Ielts tutor and the purveyor of the Ielts multi-step program. Welcome to another session of our very resourceful videos. Here, I'm going to be reacting to some of the speaking tests that we have conducted here in our studios and to just give you feedback on how the candidates performed, to also give you insights on what they did wrong and also provide strategies on how to improve on the areas where they had challenges. For this particular episode, we had some really resourceful candidates talk to us, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to get some performances that are quite sterling and outstanding. So let's just jump right into this video. Good afternoon and welcome to the IELTS speaking test. My name is Lanre. I'll be your examiner for today. My examiner number is 4452. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Chuka Ekeledo and I'm happy to be here.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chuka. Can you tell me a little about where you live?
I currently stay in a penthouse apartment in Divine Queen's Court. It's in Lekki. It's the more modern settlement of Lagos, Nigeria. I've been there for about a year. I stayed there with my wife, kids.
Great. Now, which is your favorite room in the house?
I guess it's the living room where the television is, because I get to relax, eat, watch a bit of television, have a bit of fun after a stressful day at work.
What changes would you make to the place where you live?
I'd like to spruce it up a bit, so maybe add a pool table.
So I'd like to just stop there. And what you can notice from candidate Chuka is that confidence. The ease with which he just throws out his answers shows you that this is quite a competent speaker and user of the English language. And I'm predicting that he'll probably do very well. I'm looking at him that it's definitely above a band 8 user of the language. And you could hear the kind of vocabulary he's throwing out here. So when we talked about what we'd like to do to changes we'd like to make to his house, he said he'd like to spruce it up a bit. And that's not something that would be common vocabulary to use. I also like the fact that, the way he's giving it. So he said something like, I guess it would be. One challenge that I see from a lot of test takers is that they don't want to guess. They want to have all their answers being very definite. And this is not possible. Remember, in natural conversation, sometimes you might not be so confident. You might not be so sure of what you're going to be giving as a response. So it's okay to let the examiner know or to communicate the degree to which you're sure or to which you're unsure of your answer. So he says, I guess it would be. Meaning that it's something that is still figuring out as it goes. Nice one, Chuka.
We have a foyer that I would like to also try and add a bit of plants, resting chair, and different other things.
Awesome. Talking about plants, do you like fruits and vegetables?
Very much so.
What kind of fruits and vegetables are most popular in your country?
So we have the typical tropical fruits, because I am from Western Africa. So mango, banana, apple, watermelon. My personal favorite is a smoothie, which is a combination of watermelon, pineapple, and banana.
Why are fruits and vegetables so good for people?
Well, they contain very vital nutrients that help for different types of development, both physical, mental, and other aspects.
Great. How can we get young people to eat more fruits and vegetables?
I think that's a very interesting question. I reckon the first thing to...
So, candidate Chuka is really... bringing out all the big guns in this particular test is very on point with his responses. One of the recommendations that we usually give is that in the part 1 and the part 3 of the test, ensure that you give a direct answer first before you go ahead and explain. And he does that perfectly well. So for every question that we give him, the first 3 things that he says, in the first 10 seconds, he gives a direct response. So he said something like, so the question was, fruits and vegetables, and he goes, very much so, obviously answers the question with an emphatic yes, before he goes ahead to give any explanation. And then he uses, like I said, uncommon vocabulary. How would I say it? Vocabulary that is beyond the average. So you say, I reckon so. I reckon so means I think so, or I would agree, or I would assume. So this shows that this is definitely my assumption that he would go above a band 8 is still valid here. So let's see if it maintains this momentum till the end of the test.
To do is to make fruits fun. There's a general misconception that if you are serving a child fruits or vegetables, that they have done something bad or wrong, right? So make it a bit more fun, cut it into nice tiny shapes.
Do you think you could ever be a vegetarian?
Most likely not. I'm first and foremost a meat lover, so I love eating meat, but I do admire people that are vegetarians. It takes a different level of commitment and discipline to get it done.
I believe that. And how do you think the weather can affect people's mood?
I think it affects people's mood a lot. You really notice that people that are in more gloomy, rainy weather don't tend to go out more, so they lack vitamin D, so they are easily prone to depression and other mental illnesses. But people in more tropical areas, such as where I live, Lagos, Nigeria, are outgoing, fun, outspoken because they...
Do you feel that weather patterns are changing nowadays?
Yes, I think we're at the precipice of a global...
We are at the precipice. It's really doing really well. And you would notice that all his answers have this very standard pattern of giving his opinion first, giving a reason for his opinion, and then giving an example or an illustration to buttress his opinion. Is really ticking all the boxes here. And I think that at the end of this review of his video, I'm pretty sure that Chuka is definitely going to be among the 95th percentile in the Ielts.
Climate change crisis. If you look at comparative data between now and last year, the snow is more, it rains harder, earthquakes are more devastated, and it's something that I think all governments of the world should band together and try and get a long-standing solution.
What do people like to do in your country when it's raining?
So they like to, kids, it depends on different age groups. First, kids, toddlers, teenagers, so let's say between 5 to 10, 15, love to play outside, play with the water, play different water games and things like that. If you're much older, you're more fearful about illnesses, so you typically just don't want to be outside at that time. You want to be cozy in your room.
Would you consider yourself to be the type of person who stays indoors when it's raining?
Yes, I am. I like to keep dry and comfortable.
Great. So let's move to the second part of the test, which is the cue card. Here you'll be given a cue card that would contain a prompt and some questions, follow-up questions. You're expected to have 1 minute to prepare what you're going to say, after which you'll be expected to talk for between 1 minute to 2 minutes. Here is a piece of paper to jot down your points. I'm going to read out the question while you're doing that. Your time for brainstorming starts now. Describe your ideal car. You should say what kind of car you'd like, what special features you'd like it to have, where you'd like to travel to in it, and explain why it would be your ideal car. So while Chuka is brainstorming on his points to use for the cue card, one thing I'd like to also comment on is grammatical accuracy. Chuka seems to display a wide range of grammatical knowledge. He ensures that his answers are grammatically accurate. The tenses are on point. The numbers, that's the plural and singular, have not seemed to slip since he started. So I hope he maintains that till the end of the test.
I'm ready, yeah.
Great. Thank you very much for that. Please begin.
My ideal car is a Lexus RX 350 2015 SUV model. It's a 4x4 V8 engine car. I like it because I drive an older model of the same car and it has served me very well for the past 5 years. It's a great car for where I live, which is Lagos, Nigeria, because it has very good off-road features. Lagos, Nigeria is not known for having very good roads, so you always want to have a car that can work across different terrains. Some special features it has is that it has a sensor across all portions of the car, so it lets you know if you're close to hitting someone, if you are going off-road. It has different cameras, both at the front, the side mirrors, and the back mirror. It has a heated chair, so if you're in cold weather, the sitting really warms up. Has very nice and very beautiful leather interior and upholstery, so I really like that a lot. I would love to really go to a resort with the car, right? I can imagine a very nice and cozy family trip with my wife, and children, where we'll just spend the whole ride singing along to beautiful songs. When we get there, we'll have a nice picnic because the car also has enough space to pack enough belongings for everybody for the trip. It's my ideal car because, like I said, I'm driving the older model and I really, really enjoyed it. But more than that, it has an almost spaceship-like feature. So you almost feel like you are just literally out of this world. So I really do enjoy that a lot.
Thank you very much for that beautiful answer. I really like the part about the spaceship. So let's talk more about cars. This speaking part 2 was perfect. For me, it was perfect. All the prompts were answered quickly. All the prompts were addressed. There was a continuation. There was cohesion between prompts being answered and the extended part. And you could see the way you linked the extension, where he said, like I mentioned earlier. So that referenced what he had said before, and he picked it up from that point and he just moved on. I like the fact that Chuka is obviously killing us with all the ambitious vocabulary that he uses. We have off-road, we have terrain, we have upholstery. Now, it is important that although I'm not a big fan of using big words, it's also very recommended that you do not use cliches. You do not use words that are tired, words that have been overused, words that have a general meaning or an ambiguous meaning. Use words that are specifically talking about or expressing what you mean to say. And I think he has done a perfect job for that. As it stands now, I've probably moved it up from a band 8 to a band 8.5. We'll see if by the end of this test, Chuka will be able to achieve a band 9 status. And I think that he can easily do that. What are some of the advantages and disadvantages of owning a car?
Well, the most obvious advantage is that it is very easy to move around. One major disadvantage is that you're adding to the carbon footprint of the planet, which also works in affecting the climate change of the world as well. Another advantage is...
If you notice the way he has answered this question, the way he went was very direct. The first advantage, one disadvantage, then he went to the second advantage. So he's conscious of the fact that the question is asking about what advantages and disadvantages. So he addresses that. Now, it is left for the examiner to want him to give as many advantages and disadvantages as possible. But after giving that one, and after giving just one for both ends, I think that a regular examiner will just tell you to just hold on and move to the next question. But if he doesn't, ensure you have enough, because it's plurals and singular is important in the Ielts. If they say advantages, ensure you have more than one advantage to give.
You get to move around faster. You can...
Do you think cars should be banned from city centers?
I think no, it shouldn't be banned. It will have such huge adverse effects to the economic growth of city centers. However, I think they should be regulated, right? What I mean by that is someone shouldn't have more than 2 cars or 3 cars, for example. You shouldn't have cars that have very high carbon emission.
Beautiful. What other measures can governments introduce to stop people from using cars so much?
I think the first thing they should do is to impose a carbon tax, right? So if you're driving a very heavy carbon footprint car, such as like a Hummer or an RV, you should be taxed more than opposed to someone that is driving like a Prius or a Tesla.
How do you feel that cars will be improved over the next 50 years?
I think that's a very interesting question, because we're seeing a lot of autonomous driving right now. So you have people like Tesla who are essentially creating self-driving cars where you don't have to be at the wheel of the car. It allows people to really achieve way more while being in transit. I think the next frontier beyond that is flying cars. I know there's some research and some work going around that.
So what laws does your country have about driving and alcohol?
Well, I think they have the typical law against drinking and driving. So you shouldn't drive above certain speed limits if you are inebriated. However...
Inebriated. So obviously, I think this young man should definitely get a band 9. He deserves a band 9. So far, I haven't been able to pick any particular error made either in terms of the fluency. His fluency has been top notch, either in terms of the grammar, in terms of the pronunciation, in terms of the cohesion and the logical arrangement of his answers. He gets a full 10 from me.
It is hard to enforce that because, as you know, I live in a country that has over 200 million people, and our law enforcement agency are greatly understaffed to really solve that problem.
Do you feel there should be a law about how long one can drive without stopping?
I think there should be a law if you are talking about people that have commercial vehicles, so trucks, because I typically know that these truck drivers can go on for days without having any sleep, right? So I think that, or I believe that the best thing for the government to do is to impose laws that says if you have driven this distance or this amount as a commercial driver, then you should definitely take a break, take a nap and things. I've also been in situations where commercial drivers actually hit my car because the person was sleeping on the wheel. Yeah, so it's something that
must have been a good experience.
It wasn't. He kept on hitting it over and over again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chuka, for that interesting conversation.
Thank you so much.
I learned a lot. Thank you. So, Chuka, obviously a band 9, fluency, top-notch, coherence and cohesion, top-notch, vocabulary, lexical resource, top-notch. There's too many examples to mention. Recon, spruce, general misconception. We have off-road, we have terrains, we have upholstery, we have adverse effects, we have inebriated. Too many to mention. Pronunciation was top-notch. There's no word that he used that was inaccessible for a native English speaker. You could understand it, you could process it. So Chuka from me gets a band 9, and please drop your comments in the chat section of our YouTube channel to let us know if you agree with this assessment of Chuka Ekededo getting a band 9.